Toxic people don't bother strong people, they bother reactive people. If you want to get them to stop, don't work on them, work on yourself and become untriggerable. You are going to learn 7 principles that I know work in the real world because I've been training people for the last 25 years in the corporate environment for the largest group of its type on the planet. And I've seen toxicity from the very top all the way down to the bottom. And oftentimes I get complaints with people, how do I work with this person? I've seen it recently in my life with my family. And what I've done is I've learned that these principles absolutely work. And the first thing you want to learn on your quest to becoming an emotional master is that whenever you get triggered, it's telling you about your past conditioning and your past programming. In other words, say I roll my eyes at my mom as a boy, say I'm 7 years old, and my mom says, don't you do that, that's disrespectful. So I get my feelings hurt, then somebody rolls their eyes at me at school, I say, don't you do that, that's disrespectful. And then I'm a 40-year-old man and somebody rolls their eyes at me, I say, don't you do that, that's disrespectful. Well, the reason why I say that is I learned when I was 7 years old that this is not acceptable. And this is where the saying, if you want to play in somebody else's ballpark, you want to play by the rules. If you want to play in your boss's ballpark, you have to play by their rules. Have you ever heard somebody say, my house, my rules? Well, whenever you get upset, somebody broke one of your rules. The only question is, when did you establish that rule and why did you establish that rule? And if you desensitize the trigger and you neutralize it, now when you roll your eyes at me, I say, oh yeah, back when I was young, my mom said that's disrespectful, but I don't have to be triggered now because that was my past programming. The second principle, emotional regulation makes you untriggerable. When I was 23 years old, I made a decision to master my emotions. I was identified as having a bad temper. I would say, I have a bad temper. I would justify it with my heritage. I'm Irish. Do you know anybody that says, I have a bad temper, or I suffer from anxiety, or I have ADD, or I'm bipolar? These are all identities that we can accept, and they justify the way we behave as we get older. Well, I made a decision, if I don't let go of this identity, I am going to be angry for a significant portion of the rest of my life. And whatever emotional state you're in has an effect on your perception of life. So I knew that if I learned to master my emotions, that I would master the quality of my existence. And this is the smartest decision I've ever made. And I've been working on it for many years. And I keep on learning new techniques that I hope to give you if this information resonates with you. So making a decision to be a master at emotional regulation. Oftentimes people lose their temper in minor situations. If you lose your temper in a minor situation, you're probably going to lose your temper in a medium or a major situation. So you want to learn to be emotionally calm in all situations. And what this is going to do is allow you to keep your stasis of your consciousness and even consciousness. There's a saying that when the emotion goes up, the intelligence goes down. So when we become emotional, we become more reactive. Number 3, self-assurance removes the need for outside assurance. I oftentimes teach salespeople that you want to be the most comfortable person in the room, or you want to be completely self-assured. We are a conforming species, and we have a tendency to seek conformity so that we fit in, so that we survive. So we march in the perfect marching pattern that we're supposed to do, because if we stand out, we could be ostracized or hurt or even psychologically killed. Have you ever heard the saying, when in Rome, do as the Romans? So when you're self-assured, guess what you don't seek? Outside assurance. And when you don't seek outside assurance, you are liberated to act in ways that people that are not self-assured do. So when you are self-assured, you are going to have this confidence that emanates from you everywhere you go. I oftentimes tell people, would you like to be more attractive? And even the most attractive people say yes. And everybody else, of course, they say yes. And I say, then simply be more confident. Because when you're more confident, it is attractive to people. And when you are more confident, the bully or the toxic person is going to be less likely to try and impact you because they can feel that you are completely self-assured. Number 4, calm presence disarms toxicity. When you are calm, the toxic person does not know what to do with that because they're expecting a reaction. When I was a young man, I learned a technique where one person would antagonize me and my job would be calm. They'd try and antagonize me more, my job would be calm. They'd try and antagonize me more, my job would be calm. Their job would be to make me blush, my job would be to be calm. And then I learned in life that when you have a person that's a bully or they're toxic and you stay completely calm, it short circuits them because the bully expects a reaction. They expect you to either roll into them to want to fight them or to be in fear or perhaps a quiver. They expect something out of it. So when you stay completely calm and you demonstrate this in common presence, it's like them losing it on a wall. And they're only going to lose it on the wall so much because the wall's not going to react. So this calm presence is metaphorically like the wall. So when you have these toxic people in your life and you learn to become emotionally masterful, emotionally competent, emotionally placid, have the ability to feel this peace, they're not going to know what to do with that. Number 5, reality reflects your inner state. Now, this one might be a stretch for you, but when I'm in a bad mood, reality will change. And when I'm in a good mood, reality will change. So when you have the ability to understand that reality is going to reflect back to you your mood, now, even if this isn't true, if you just consider, what if it is true? What if reality does in fact reflect back to me what I'm feeling? If that's true, now all of a sudden what you're feeling matters. Your vibe matters. So if I'm getting toxic people in my life, is that somewhat to do with the law of attraction or something to do with quantum physics, where what I expect is what I create? Oftentimes when I say how you do anything is how you do everything, if you lose it in a minor situation, you're going to lose it in a major situation. And then I say that life will keep on giving you lessons until you learn them. And if you don't learn them, life will keep on giving you the same lesson until you do learn it. And then it finally gets so bad that you recognize the only thing consistent in these lessons is me. I was the problem. And what if it was your vibe that was participating in the creation of the problem? The guy I told yesterday, I said, if you quit this job and leave it because of these two people that are toxic, I guarantee you 2 other humans are going to show up in your next job because it's toxicity. This is why you want to look at everything as it's a lesson. And as you learn the lesson, guess what? You get a bigger problem. Then you learn that lesson, you get a bigger problem. And what we get in these problems is we get resilience. And this is how we become the diamond with my book, Turning Snowflakes into Diamonds. We use pressure to make ourselves stronger. Number 6, drop the story and take it to the body. What I've learned from Sue Morter is that when you drop the story, oftentimes even Tony Robbins will say it, drop the story. He goes, strategy, story, state. And oftentimes we get attached to the story of this person, the story of the situation, the story of the thing. And the more the story stays alive, the more the pain stays alive. The more the story stays alive, the more the demonization stays alive. Now, I teach in my book the 3 B's, the body, the breath, and the brain, and I call it the Swiss Army knife. So the B's are blades. Whenever you pay attention to your body, it holds you in the present moment. Whenever you pay attention to your breath, it holds you in the present moment. Whenever you manage your thoughts, it holds you in the present moment. So whenever you're around a toxic person, you want to pay attention to your body because it's going to hold you in the present moment. And you want to stand strong because when you stand strong, you feel strong. Simultaneously, you want to pay attention to your breath and you want to learn how to breathe into your heart and breathe out of your heart. This is called heart-focused breathing. And what it will do is get your heart and brain in a state of coherence. And if you have the ability to do this, imagine that I have a challenging person in front of me. I stand strong. I breathe into my heart and out of my heart. And I think about somebody or something I love, but I'm not going to smile because that'd be maybe too dismissive to them. Now I'm completely calm in the situation because what I'm doing is I'm occupying myself, my body, by standing strong, which changes the hormones in my bloodstream. I'm focusing on my heart and my breath, which keeps me present. And I'm thinking about something that I'm thankful for or grateful for. Whenever you're grateful, you're not going to be in fear or anger. So what I'm doing is I'm manipulating my 3 blades, my body, my breath, and my brain, taking it to the body, feeling it in my body so that I have the ability to stay calm around this toxic person. It works. How do I know it works? Because I've done it thousands of times. Number 7, practice love. Love is a skill. Now practice on somebody that you dislike a tiny bit so that you can work on practicing on the person that you demonize and like the least. So what you want to do is use your imagination. Now Einstein said imagination is more powerful than knowledge. So did Einstein say imagination was more powerful or knowledge? Imagination. So what are you going to use? your imagination. And imagine that this person that I dislike, let's use a family member in my mind, and I overlay their body right into me. So whenever you connect with somebody that's love, so if I overlay my body into them, what I'm doing is I feel love. And then what I do is I focus on my heart and I breathe into my heart and out of my heart, like we did with 6. And I focus on just feeling love towards, say, my dog, for instance. And that same love I feel towards my dog, I feel towards them. Now, oftentimes I tell people, I can tell you who doesn't like you at your workplace. Would you like to know? Because whoever you don't like doesn't like you, because people pick up each other's vibes. So this toxic person is picking up your vibe when you go home and you complain to your family, and when you're complaining in your mind, and this vibe has that antagonistic effect that we talked about earlier. So when you feel love towards this person, it dismisses that vibe, it dismantles that vibe, and it allows you to stay calm and confident. And then what I do is I practice on the person that I think is the worst person on the planet Earth. Because if I can love them, who can I love? Anybody. So you can love this toxic person too. And if you practice these 7 steps, I absolutely believe at a minimum they'll help you, but I believe that you're going to evaporate them out of your life. You're going to transcend the problem and you're going to utilize this wisdom for the rest of your life. Peace isn't passive. Peace is about power.